Welcome back to the Gooma Stomp podcast. How's it going, Tyler?
It's going all right.
All right, we're gonna have a short little episode, kind of on the spot here, not really planned out, but well, when do we ever plan them out? But impromptu episode, so to speak. It's gonna be a short one, but we just had to give our initial reaction to basically Microsoft's announcement today that came out of nowhere. I'm gonna start off by reading the article real quick. All right, the title of the article is Xbox One will not require internet or restrict used games. And this is from IGN, to give credit, written by Andrew Goldfarb. Anyways, the article says, Microsoft has changed its policies regarding Xbox One's internet requirements, used game restrictions, and more. Contrary to the details announced earlier this month, Microsoft has now confirmed news originally reported on Giant Bomb that Xbox One will no longer require an internet connection to play offline games or need to check in every 24 hours. Instead, internet will only be required when initially setting up the console, like on Xbox 360. Playing disc-based games will require that the disc be in the tray. Xbox One will also no longer restrict used games and will instead allow discs to be exchanged in the same way they are on Xbox 360 with no additional restrictions for trade-ins or lending games to friends. The system is also no longer to be region-locked, and all downloadable games will function the same way whether your console is connected or not. Since unveiling our plans for Xbox One, he said, my team and I have heard directly from many of you, read your comments, and listened to your feedback. Microsoft Don Matrick wrote, I would like to take the opportunity today to thank you for your assistance in helping us reshape the future of Xbox One. You told us how much you loved the flexibility you have today with games delivered on disc. The ability to lend, share, and resell these games at your discretion is of incredible importance to you. Also, important to you is the freedom to play offline for any length of time, anywhere in the world. In addition to being available in retail stores, Xbox One games will still be available for download on day one and will be available on any Xbox One console. These changes will impact some of the scenarios we previously announced for Xbox One, Matrick noted. The sharing of games will work as it does today. You will simply share the disc. Downloaded titles cannot be shared or resold. We appreciate your passion, support, and willingness to challenge the assumptions of digital licensing and connectivity, Matrick concluded. While we believe that the majority of people will play games online and access the cloud for both games and entertainment, we will give consumers the choice of both physical and digital content. We have listened and we have heard loud and clear from your feedback that you want the best of both worlds. Microsoft's decision follows mass confusion following the announcement of Xbox One in May, yada, yada, yada. So that was pretty much the meat and potatoes of the article. So basically, what this means, no more used game restriction, no more having to check in on the internet. The two biggest, drawbacks of the Xbox One and a lot of people's complaints have now been changed. What are your first thoughts on this?
I really don't like the overall tone of how they're approaching it. I mean, it seems like they're oblivious, like, oh, we didn't know it was a bad thing to do this.
Yeah, I got a little of that too, where they're like, basically, oh, well, we looked at your feedback, and you know what? You want the best of both worlds. You want this, you want that, and you know what? You like the flexibility how it is today. It's like, well, no shit. I mean, why... What was wrong with the way it was? I want to know who was saying, we want this, we want that. When was it ever said that the way things are today is just horrible and we need a better system? Like, especially in that regard. That was definitely not a better system. But who was pushing for that fan wise? I don't think I've ever seen fans say we don't want to be able to trade games with our friends. We want internet connections, check-ins every day. Like I don't believe anybody ever said that, so I don't know where they got the impression. My first impression on this is they were getting ridiculously outsold by PS4. They got scared. They saw all the fan backlash online and at the convention at E3 probably, and they got a lot of slack. And they realized, hey, you know what? This probably isn't the best way to go. But money wise, I bet you they still wanted to go forth with what they were doing. But at the end of the day, it's not going to help them money wise if nobody buys their console. I mean, obviously people were still going to buy the Xbox One, but not nearly as many as would be without the restrictions. So to backpedal like that, to pretty much change everything that they're doing, that, my big problem with this, and I think it's great that they're doing it, but my big problem with it is that they essentially, I saw in interview after interview, either online, like online interviews with websites or interview at E3, is that this is the future. This is what we have to look for in the future, and they wanted us, like, they were trying to take gaming to the future. They wanted the next step. They want the evolution of gaming, and they were completely passionate about what they were doing and where they were going. And for them to just completely change that makes you wonder, it makes you ponder how serious they really were. Like, what was the real intention of all this? Because they tried to play it off like they were doing what's best for us by taking us to the future, not just relying on old strategies and old techniques and the old way of doing things, essentially. But them changing their mind before the console's even out. We're still a few months away from this console's released, and it just got announced a couple months ago, or just, a month ago. So for them to change it already, how confident were they in this? I mean, they seemed in every interview to think that this was what they were, this was what was smart. This was best for everybody. And for them to change it, just, in a random announcement on a random day, it wasn't even at their E3 conference. It's just a random day. They just sent out a press release, and now they're pretty much changing completely what they were going to do, and now they're going back to the way it already is. So it makes you wonder, because to me that gives an impression they weren't looking at what was best for gamers. It wasn't about the future. It was about their money, them getting the most money, and them putting the most, having the most control over things. Do you get that?
I definitely get that. It almost makes me wonder, like, how easily they're taking these things away, like the last minute. It makes you wonder if it was even supposed to, like, if it was all planned from the beginning to like, kind of scare this, see if Sony hops on, and if they don't, back out.
That's an interesting point. Maybe they were going to go that, but now that they see that the Wii U and PlayStation 4 aren't going to be doing that, and they kind of are off on their own little boat, up shit creek without a paddle, so to speak, because everybody was backlashing, they're backing down. But it doesn't seem like they're backing down because they realize they're wrong. It seems like they're backing down because, so, like, their hand is they're reluctantly backing down.
It kind of makes it seem like they're trying to do us a favor by backing down.
Exactly.
Like, we listen to what you guys want, and we're going to take all these restrictions away.
Exactly, and it's like we already saw your true colors, so that's not going to go away. I mean, like I said, I give Microsoft credit for realizing they're wrong and changing things before it's too late. We both said this is what's got to happen. They at least have to address the issues, which they never really did at E3, and now they're finally addressing them and going so far as to getting rid of those things. But I don't know, to me, the way they're doing it and the way the way that it was worded was, we realize you want the most flexibility, etc., etc., etc. Well, that should have been obvious from the start. Like, I don't know. It just seems like an odd thing to just randomly announce and then change your mind on. If you were that if you were really that behind your decisions, because it seemed like I said, in every interview they were completely 100% behind, and all their little spokesmen, even Major Nelson in his Angry Joe interview video, which you probably didn't see. Angry Joe got an interview with Major Nelson at E3. He was lucky enough to get it, and he was grilling him with these tough questions. He wasn't being disrespectful about it, but he was grilling him with the tough questions of, about the DRM and stuff like that, and how people don't want that in the used games, etc. And Major Nelson, he seems like a nice guy, but he kept throwing it right in Joe's face, and he's like, "Do you want to you want to go to the future or not? This is what's best for everybody." He had an excuse for everything, and he had a solid reasoning in his opinion of why things were the way that they were, and anybody that the other consoles are staying in the past. So just mere days later, a week later, everything's going to 180.
It's kind of sad, actually. I'm kind of disappointed. I really wanted to see
I wanted
Xbox One crash and burn.
No, yeah, I wanted to see things play out too. Like, it would have been really, really interesting to see how this generation went when all things said and done, years later, where to see how successful it really was. Maybe it's better that it didn't, because what if people actually bought into that and then that's the way it went? So maybe now we're safe, at least for a while, until they try to do that again when they feel more comfortable, like Sony's on board, etc. But I don't know. To me, that's just a big shakeup. That's huge news. It's definitely not anything, minor or light to be taken. This is huge news. This is going to bump up Xbox One sales for sure and change people's opinions on it. But my question for you is the damage already done? Like, I mean, now that we know what Microsoft's willing to do and what they want, because obviously they don't want this. They just want their console to sell, but they don't want this. They obviously want more control, more restrictions, and more money in their pocket directly. So is the damage already done now that we know what they want? Is them taking that away, is that good enough in your opinion?
No, for me the damage has already been done. I mean, they showed their true colors, the corporate greed, all they want is money, and now they're backing out just because they might lose money. It's just, if anything, it's lowered my opinion of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like somebody that says something offensive, and they say it, and then they get grilled on it by people, and they get backlash against them, and then they come out with an apology, and they say, "Well, I didn't mean this. I didn't mean that. That's not my real opinion. I love this. I love that. I didn't mean it like that." Like gay comments, or whatever happens with celebrities or athletes who say stupid things on Twitter, they end up eventually getting called out on it and getting a lot of bad publicity. So then they backtrack and try and save face, and then it kind of makes you think less of them, because even less than them saying the dang things. I mean, you already thought they were stupid for saying such horrible things, or stupid, or inconsiderate things. But then when they go back and apologize for it just to save face, you've already seen their true colors. They can apologize all they want, but now it's like they don't even stand by what they say. They don't even stand by what they think. It just makes them look like a coward, like they're just trying to... They realize they screwed up, and now they're just trying to like I said, save face, but what they really feel. What they really think, so... You can only do so much. So in my mind, them changing the Xbox One's restrictions and getting rid of them, that's cool. I might get an Xbox One eventually. But in terms of a company, I'm still, you lost me, Microsoft. I can't support you anymore, because I know what you want from me. I mean, I already knew you were greedy, but now it's just even more apparent what you were trying to do and how little you care about gamers. Because let's be honest here, they can sit there and say, now that we know how we feel about your flex, like what you want from our consoles, etc., going forward, we want to give you that, blah blah blah. It's like they can say it and play it out like that, but really it's like, well, I mean, to put an honest spin on it, we should say, well, now we really know, what's going to get your money.
I mean, the thing is, they didn't even want to say like a word of apology or sorry or anything. It's just they're doing us a favor by by adding the flexibility.
Yeah, they did word it like that, where it's not really, there was no, you know what, we messed up, we apologize, or any of that, or just we made a wrong decision, or we, I don't know, however they want to word it. They didn't say anything like that. It was just, we appreciate you guys, we appreciate your passion and support, and et cetera, et cetera. But they did play it off like they're doing us a favor by changing things back to the way they used to be. Once again, it's the old D-pad thing with their controller. It's like, oh, we got a new D-pad that's just like the old D-pads. Because, we went our crappy D-pad route. That didn't work out so well for us. So now we're going back to the D-pad that was on the NES controller. So there's that. It's like, it's not really a feature. Now you're doing what you should have been doing the whole time. You just screwed up. So, yeah, I mean, there's only so much credit you can give them. So, like I said, it definitely makes me more willing to buy an Xbox without those restrictions as a gaming console, but I still stand by my opinion of Microsoft. I'm actually really surprised they changed their policy. And let's be honest though, I mean, they do have the right to change anything as they see fit. That is the fine print on any terms of service you agree to, which they always make you agree to those. So they could change things on, a drop of a hat. But where, what the future holds for this console, I have no idea, because if it's not one thing, it's going to be another. So just because they closed the door on this and went back to the way it should have been the whole time, doesn't mean that there's not going to be other things. They even said there's more things to announce. Not everything about the Xbox One is known. It's not a sprint. It's a race, or whatever they said. So I mean, anything could still be announced that either makes them look better or makes them look worse going forward. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I'm kind of shocked. I did not see it coming, and I agree with you. I would have. It's almost like watching a car wreck, or a car spin out, and you want to see it get in like this crazy wreck. You don't want anybody to get hurt. You don't want anybody to die, but you want to see the car get into a huge wreck. So
it's like a tornado, like touching just outside of your town.
Yeah,
it's like going out into a field. It's
exactly.
Like, oh, come on.
Exactly. But all right, that's all we really wanted to talk about. We just want to kind of give our initial reaction to that, and we got a SGC coming up, so we're not going to do a long episode. But just for now, we'll talk to you guys again soon. So let us know what your opinion is on this, and leave your comments below. And hope you guys have a good week. So see ya.
Take it easy.